But we begin this morning with the growing problem of homelessness, not only in urban areas like New York City, but now in the suburbs, including Long Island. Authorities have struggled to find answers, but as TV 1055's Carolyn Gussoff shows you, Suffolk County is now trying an innovative approach.
A new home is a new concept for the Harris family. They've been living in a shelter for more than a year.
Who would think that they would be in a homeless shelter? You know, I made decent money. I had a decent bank account.
The Harrises are considered working homeless. Their numbers growing in the suburbs. Things fell apart when downsizing eliminated Nathaniel's $60,000 a year delivery route as their rent jumped from $1,750 to $2,400 a month.
With 3 kids in the house, you know, groceries, bills don't stop coming because you stop working.
It was heartbreaking for me because I'm like, you know, all of this that he worked so hard for was just taken away so fast.
They're the 85th Long Island homeless family to sign a flexible rent lease. They'll pay 1/3 of their income. Harris is now working a part-time job hauling concrete. Community Housing Innovation says there are 600 other homeless families like them in Suffolk alone.
There are more people living in poverty in the suburbs than in the cities. It's a hidden crisis.
And to help furnish their new home, a new concept launched by the Suffolk County executive, tax-deductible gift certificates the public can buy and give directly to homeless families.
Things that happen in life that create difficult circumstances, and that's when that larger family matters, that larger community matters.
Everybody wants to try to get into the American dream, and this is a start.
I'm more happy for the kids because they don't have to be in a shelter anymore.
It's a beautiful place.
The affordable rentals come furnished with little more than beds. The gift certificates available for anyone to purchase will give formerly homeless families money for linens and dishes and the things that make a house a home. In Bellport, Long Island, Carolyn Gussoff, TV 1055.
And joining us now is our guest, Alexander Roberts. He is the Executive Director of Community Housing Innovations, and welcome to the show. Did want to point out that people can purchase those gift cards that have been talked about in the coverage we've given into it in all the various suburban counties. All you have to do is go to our website, CBS Local New York, and click on the links there for help to find how you can get one of these gift cards to help out the homeless people. Really an innovative solution that is being tried here. Let me ask you first, though, Mr. Roberts. We heard our reporter Carolyn Gussoff quote the number of 600 homeless families in the story we just saw in Suffolk County. That's just Suffolk alone. Do we know how many homeless people that there are on Long Island in total?
Well, I think there are around 3,000 total. Basically, most of them are in families today. Homelessness has changed in the last few decades as wages have remained stagnant while the price of housing has gone up.
Entire families?
Yes.
Being homeless.
Absolutely.
And as reporters and as citizens, we have seen these folks on the street and, you know, people standing at intersections saying, you know, will please give us food. My family is homeless. And, you know, and it breaks your heart. This was something we never saw on Long Island in past decades. What is driving this problem?
What's primarily driving the problem is, as I said, wages have remained stagnant. As a matter of fact, real wages haven't gone up since 1995. But the price of housing has skyrocketed. And one of the main reasons for that is what's called exclusionary zoning. On Long Island, as planning boards and zoning boards have gotten stronger and planning, it has had an effect of restricting the supply of housing and only certain types of housing being allowed to be built, which is primarily single-family housing, which is what built the suburbs.
Yeah, that's what folks will tell you. They'll say, hey, Long Island, we came here to be different from New York City. We didn't want Brooklyn or the Bronx. We wanted single-family homes. What's wrong with that?
Exactly. But what happened is, first of all, as you know, the island was built with, at a time in the 50s and 60s, that was when the big housing and single-family was built, at a time when there was a lot of discrimination. Basically, federal mortgages and things like that discriminated against African Americans. Yeah. Redlining, exactly. Yeah. Then in 1968, the Fair Housing Act passed, and that became illegal. Well, the suburbs have remained desegregated, and because it isn't discrimination anymore, while discrimination and racial discrimination was a sharp instrument that you could discriminate against people who were black, after that it became economic. So as a result, zoning changes, making a quarter-acre into 1 acre and 1 acre into 5-acre zoning, had a similar effect because minorities had lower incomes. And that's continued until today.
And here we find it's not just minorities, though. This is people of every stripe and flavor that are running into this kind of problem. And now it's their children that are facing this.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't have to scratch the surface very far to find a study or a survey online that will tell you the number of people that are running out of here as soon as they get out of school.
Exactly. I did a study in 2014 that was widely published, you know, in the New York Times and Newsday, et cetera, and found that the richest communities on Long Island actually had the largest exodus of 25 to 34-year-olds, as much as 50% in some communities like Lloyd's Neck, et cetera. So what's happened now is the communities now are beginning to realize that if they don't change, if they don't provide some affordable housing, they're going to lose their best and their brightest.
Yeah, and then it's unsustainable, right? I mean, who would live in these homes? Somebody has to be able to afford these homes that are too expensive for most folks. And if not their kids, then who? Do you think that really will make a difference, though? Because we've known this for years now, and yet there's very little progress.
There is a tremendous inherent feeling, as you said, among suburbanites that they want that suburban culture, and that culture is single-family houses. But it is changing. Patchogue is an example where basically...
I was just going to mention them. They have been the best example, but there are other places too. I mean, all, you know, Farmingdale.
Right, absolutely.
Babylon Village.
Babylon Village, Wyandanch Rising.
That's about to happen, yeah.
Correct. So there are these bright spots in the Long Island communities that are thinking ahead and are realizing that there's been a demographic shift. There's been a shift in preferences by millennials. They want walkability, and they don't want to be saddled with $25,000, $30,000 in taxes.
Yeah, transit-oriented development we hear about. You know, if it's near the downtowns and near the railroad, then, you know, it's allowed. But outside of that, no. You know, one of the complaints that I hear frequently from people, they say, you know, you're right, it is a problem. But what I'm worried about is I spent my life building up my equity in my home. I paid for it, and that's really all I have. And if we build a lot of rental housing, which is what most people really want in the housing advocate world, it's going to decrease the value of my home and the ability to resell it. What are the facts on that? Do we have any facts on that? Has anyone studied that to see the cause and effect?
Absolutely. And you can look in Brooklyn, you can look at other areas where there's been transit-oriented development. You can look in White Plains, which I'm familiar with, and you find that the communities that have allowed the rental housing actually increase the value of the surrounding homes. And
interesting, almost the opposite.
Exactly. And the reason for that is it's pretty logical. If you can't capture millennials in these areas in rental housing, which is what they prefer, who's going to buy your houses?
Well, that's, you know, a debate that goes on. We certainly appreciate you coming in and talking with us today. Alexander Roberts, Executive Director with Community Housing Innovations, talking about this ongoing problem.